Hello everyone, you're watching SK Live. I'm your host Indranil Basu. Today we have Mr. Rohan Jetley, the young and dashing DDCA president with us. Rohan, good to see you.
Good evening.
We when we talk about DDCA, one thing which really comes to our mind is the strong legacy your dad, late Arun Jetley sir, has left behind. I mean, he was always the man, the crisis man in BCCI. What contribution he had, my God! It was we have covered a lot of behind the scenes stories, and he was always there for cricket. And no matter how busy his surrounding was, he was busy with his work. He was always there for cricket, and that was the passion which was there in him all throughout his career, isn't it?
Absolutely. In fact, his tenure in DDCA
Yeah,
saw a world class stadium being built.
yeah,
If we look back in the days, we had the old clubhouse, which the OCH
yes,
in the Delhi.
yeah,
Thereafter, there was a plan brought about to make this whole grand stadium around the Kotla grounds.
yes,
You're talking about days when funds used to be limited.
yes,
How how the concept of corporate boxes was brought in, how they
yes,
were how they were sold
mm,
in a staggered manner for a tenure of time in a debenture model.
yeah,
How the funds were generated to create a world class infrastructure that we have today.
yeah,
It all goes back to his tenure as DDCA president.
yeah. Absolutely. And I remember in 2000 when we were young journalists going to DDC, we only had one gentleman walking in. Whenever there was a crisis, whenever there was a major decision had to be taken, he was always there. And cricket was his first love outside politics, isn't it?
So cricket has always been his first love. In
First
fact,
love.
in fact, he had a passion for the game. He
Yes.
followed it around the world.
Yeah.
He always had the vision that why should the capital not have a cricketing infrastructure which is world class and far beyond what anyone had expected the Delhi Stadium to ever be like back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
In fact, he also had the vision where his idea was that there should be a lot of talent hunt happening in Delhi, and the Delhi should produce international cricketers.
Yeah.
You have players in the cricket, the Indian cricket team now. You've got former Indian cricketers. You've got big names which have come out from Delhi cricket
Absolutely.
during his tenureship, and the intention of the present board also of the DDCA is that we need to widen our scope, get in a good talent hunt system, use our internal league to enhance the outreach and talent to come to explore talent, and we should have more talent coming out from Delhi going towards the national pedestal.
Absolutely. And he had that vision, and it's there are numbers to show, how much talent Delhi produced, at the highest level in the Indian team, throwing them young. That was the thing which was initiated by Delhi. We saw, I mean, there was a pool of talent coming out, so many of them from Delhi during that. And
Absolutely. You've
and
got
vision,
you've
I
got
don't think
Gautam Gambhir, you've got
Sehwag.
Virender Sehwag, you've got Ashish Nehra, you've got Akash Chopra, you've got Virat Kohli, extremely you've got exceptional players with great talent come out from the Kotla grounds, to put it as such.
Yeah. And talking about vision, I remember where you are sitting. Once I happened to meet him, in that very room, and he had told me in 2009 that Virat Kohli is going to be the captain of Indian team. So a lot of memories
Absolutely.
in yeah. He had that vision. It's not about like those typical administrator talking about the game. He knew the game.
Yes, in fact, he had the pulse of the cricket to the T where the Delhi structure was concerned, and he knew exactly at which level which the upcoming talent is and where the potential future cricketer, who the upcoming star is.
Absolutely. I remember you also had a vision of building another stadium in Delhi. He wanted a bigger stadium in a better environment where there won't be any cause of concern as far as pollution is concerned. He wanted BCCI to sync with DDCA and create something massive. So, do you have that plan in your mind, the vision he had?
That is something that is there in my mind. And in fact, my predecessor, Mr. Sharma, Rajat Sharma ji,
Yeah,
was also in he was also working on these lines with the Delhi Development Authority on getting a particular parcel of land which is earmarked in their plans for sports facilities.
yeah,
I have a similar intention in mind if we are able to and to get BCCI on board to develop a world-class infrastructure in Delhi, which could be a secondary stadium and possibly have a zonal academy
yes.
or an infrastructure where a lot of grooming of cricket is happening 365 days.
So, is there any earmarked? Any area you have in mind beyond
It,
Dwarka?
as of now, none. As of now, none. That is something that we are always open to exploring and in the process. It's too early a stage to comment on anything for on to comment on any technical details as to what lies in the future, but we're always open to it and we're exploring that opportunity for a better cricketing infrastructure.
Absolutely, we need that, and that's why we are able to produce talent like Virat Kohli. So, when is Delhi going to produce another Virat Kohli? You're the DDCA president.
Well, well, I really won't comment on whether Delhi will produce another Virat Kohli because there's only one in that category.
He's
In
brilliant.
fact, we're improvising and improving our structures internally to
Yeah,
make sure Delhi produces some great players in the coming years. So sooner than later, I'll be happier if it's sooner.
no, that's the thing. We saw that template which Delhi had, throwing them young, that was eventually taken forward by Karnataka, and they produced so many domestic cricketers. And I always, I've been observing. I mean, we have been covering Delhi cricket for so many years and seeing the growth of Karnataka cricket and so many cricketers from Karnataka in national team. So, and in somewhere, 3 4 years ago, that tradition stopped. We always had that the proven players given sort of that kind of advantage, that kind of support ahead of the talent. So, are you going to change that thing in Delhi cricket? Because we always had that throw them young kind of a thing in Delhi cricket. That's how we saw the talent like Virender Sehwag.
Giving the youngsters an opportunity
Yeah,
is extremely essential and crucial for them to show their performance.
yeah,
The senior players in the team have to also play a guiding role to introduce them to the squad in order to show their potential on the ground.
yeah.
It's a very thin line that has to be determined as to which player has to be in the playing 11 for a game or not. Be that as it may, that's a role that doesn't fall within my domain. It's something that the captain, the coach, and the selectors have to decide for every tournament and game per se. We are we there are certain there is a lot of young talent which is coming up from the Delhi circuit, and they are being given an opportunity wherever appropriate to come out and perform.
No, I mean there is absolutely no dearth of talent in this capital city. I can tell you that. And I've played DDCA league. It's amazing. But coming to that DDCA's reputation, which is generally associated with infighting, people accusing each other. So and the fact that you've come unopposed into this chair of DDCA president, how are you going to change that reputation? Because you have lot of things in hand to change.
So what has happened is that the DDCA in the last few years we've had a little troubled past lately.
Yeah.
There has been some problem internally. We are now, I would say, it on a road to recovery, and we're trying to put our systems in place. Uh, the so-called internal factionalism having conflicts. As of today, I would say that we are all focused on the larger goal, which is putting back DDC on the map with world-class infrastructure and the best cricketing talent coming forward.
Yeah.
As of today, we've started a lot of infrastructure upgrades. They are in the pipeline. I wouldn't say much on that. We rather deliver than talk about it. We're also in the process of setting up academies.
Yeah.
We're also in communication with the Delhi Development Authority of setting, and we're taking a process forward. If it fructifies, we'll have some academies in place where we'll have good talent coming out from. Presently, I don't see the internal factionalism being a concern, but that is something that is integrated into the structure of DDCA. So, idea is to just keep our larger goals in place and to achieve them sooner than later.
Perhaps your vision of integrating with DDA and building those academies will help Delhi children a lot, because I often find a sort of a handicap kind of a situation where kids don't get to play, go out and play. They don't have enough academies in their localities. So this probably your vision could change
There are,
things.
there are, there are, there are. Yeah. So, Indranil, just to let you know, there are different proposals in play of
Okay.
setting up academies, of doing different various prospects on bringing talent out from being the locality based talent to being constituent areas to seven constituencies of the parliament. On different facets, we're doing different things. The proposals in the time pipeline. Soon we will certainly have something where we can identify, have different things happening in different areas. We're starting soon with some pilot projects also on the lines. And you will certainly see an influx of talent coming out, and there'll be good infrastructure being provided at the ground level for children to go and play, and it leads to identification of potential of talent, and they can then be groomed accordingly.
Yeah, and for that, those infrastructure to be created, you need funds. So we heard reports about how funds are being stopped from BCCI. BCCI was not given because there was not a proper elected body in place. Now you have an elected body. Is BCCI disbursing money to the state association to take cricket forward the way it used to happen before?
I would just say that whether BCCI is dispersing funds or not is a specific question. I really wouldn't want to get into the nitty gritties. It's an internal matter between the board and the association. I would just say that the BCCI is extremely supportive of the state association, and I would say this across the board with all associations, on providing adequate support for the development of cricket and cricketing infrastructure. And since I have taken over, they have only been supportive,
Yeah.
and they are helping us in whatsoever way to ensure that a world class facility is, that the stadium restores its glory of being a world class stadium.
Absolutely, and for that reason, we really looking forward to those changes. But coming to the domestic bit of cricket, I mean, this year we know we are going through testing times. So, are we going to see Ranji Trophy happening? Are we going to see Delhi playing Ranji Trophy or Vijay Hazare? Is there any fillers you're getting from the board? What is the way forward? Because we are going to get really less number of matches.
I think that's a decision that the board's going to take subsequent to the completion of the Syed Mushtaq Ali tournament.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm pretty sure that the board would certainly have another will have certain more domestic tournaments. Those things are in the facet of the board, and they will be deciding that to that effect.
But is it be a loss for the domestic cricketers this year, for Delhi cricketers, for instance, because they will be not be playing all the tournaments which domestic BCCI organizes throughout the year. Uh, either or kind of a situation is coming forward. So is it going to be a loss for the domestic cricketers also? I mean, how do you see it?
The
Or will
domestic
it be compensated? Will they be compensated?
I'm sure the board is already devising a formula of cricketers to be compensated.
Yeah,
It's a COVID pandemic situation where everyone has been hit at some point of time.
yeah.
It's a problem across the board through different structures of the economy and in personal capacities to a lot of people affected. The board, I'm certainly sure, has taken a consensus decision to support cricketers in whatever way possible. And reviving of domestic cricket is something that is there for their help. In fact, within DDCA, we are in the process of setting up camps across age groups and
Okay.
to start some internal domestic activity to get the cricketing activity up and about.
But are we going to have DDCA league this year?
The DDCA league will only happen in a scenario when our COVID protocols internally are in place. Luckily, by grace of God, the COVID numbers are down in Delhi.
Yeah.
But we are in the process of finalizing our internal COVID protocols, and if so permitted, we will certainly start the league.
We saw how Cricket Association of Bengal organized a T20. Created a bio bubble, and players were kept in that bubble. They stayed in the hotels, same hotel, and they played. It was quite done very quite brilliantly executed. So do you have such plans with big clubs, get them together and have a sort of T20 league like TNPL or something? Because Delhi is center of all attraction. People are looking forward to what's happening in Delhi, what kind of talent is coming. So do you have such plan ever? I mean, in due course.
In due course, we certainly will explore that opportunity, but
Yeah.
a commercial Premier League of a state association comes with its own pluses and minuses, if I may put it candidly.
Okay.
Where I personally am a little distant away from having a league on that facet in Delhi right now because we have a lot more to improvise and improve on internally.
Okay.
It is something that is there on the cards, and when the right time comes, we certainly will explore it.
Because it's all driven T20 all over. We've seen Karnataka
Absolutely.
organizing.
Absolutely. In fact, um, we're not we're not perverse to the idea as an association, or the board is not perverse to it, but we will do it at the appropriate time when.
And
Yes.
I'm sure you are in touch of a lot of former cricketers. You want to bring in a lot of cricketers into the system so that former cricketers, uh, without agendas, they come and help DDCA. I hope that happens. Are you able to make that breakthrough?
I am I am in touch with a few former cricketers who are advising and are very open to. I'm very open to them coming and giving suggestions on how to improvise the functioning of cricket activities in within the association. I am also in touch with a few cricketers who are giving a lot of suggestions, and they're extremely good suggestions to bring how to bring the association back to where it was in terms of the cricketing performance.
Yes.
And I'm very open to involving and inviting former cricketers to come and help us in whatever capacity they may.
Yeah, we need the because sort of wealth of experiences they have. All
Absolutely.
the big names. I mean, from the Sehwags to the Gambhirs, they really played cricket at the highest level and made India proud, and also made
Absolutely.
Delhi proud.
Absolutely.
We need them. But Rohan, tell me something. I mean, we see in ICC, we see in BCCI, we have seen in DDCA, we have seen in other association also. What are with lawyers? Why do lawyers? You're a lawyer yourself. Why do lawyers come into cricket administration? What is? I mean, without I'm not insulting or something saying something bad about the lawyers, but why do lawyers come into this thing? I want to know what exactly is. Are they extra qualified to handle
Oh,
administration?
lawyers are not extra qualified. They're just practicing professionals in their own area of law.
Yeah.
But it just so happens that with time they tend to involve in certain activities, and cricket administration happens to be one such where being a lawyer certainly does give you a little edge in administrative purposes.
How? I mean, I want to know. I mean, you've seen your dad. You've seen yourself. I mean, you've been a practicing uh, lawyer
It
at
is.
all
I,
levels.
I, I wouldn't get into the nitty gritties, but it just so happens that you follow higher standards, and you know how the law trains you. The practicing law over the year trains a person to have certain skills. And if those certain skills are adopted in an administrative role, you will always follow higher standards than others.
Yeah,
At least that is what my personal experience is.
and there is also a thought process which says that cricketers should, I mean, cricket administration should be looked after cricketers only. But don't you think you should have a mix of everything? You should have little politicians coming into the scene. You should have lawyers. You should have former cricketers. It should be mix and match, right? That's what we have seen so far in Indian cricket.
A mixed bag of professionals and individuals is always better than one.
Yeah.
So it always, everyone has something to contribute towards the welfare of the game.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
the goal at the end of the day, from whatever background an individual is who's in an administrative role, is only one: to take the respective association at whatever pedestal only higher.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about the testing times, this year hopefully we'll see IPL happening in India. If it happens, will Delhi be ready to host extra games? So
Oh
you
yes, Delhi is always ready to host games. Our infrastructure, our ground is in the best of conditions. We're also and we are ready to host the IPL if it comes our way.
No, because you have a Delhi based franchisee called Delhi Capitals, but beyond, if they they earmark few stadiums, few venues like Delhi, Bombay. So if Delhi comes under, will you be will Delhi be ready to host those extra games outside the franchisee games, the home games?
Delhi will certainly be ready to host any number of games that come their way as per the rotation, and we are us our ground is adequately prepared to host the same.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts about this? The test matches being held in two test matches back to back held in one venue. Don't you think the interest level will go a little bit because you're playing under same
Uh,
conditions in the same
Listen,
venue?
Indranil, please understand these are decisions are keep taken after keeping the present
Yeah,
COVID pandemic situation in mind.
yeah,
It's not a present situation to be in.
mm,
It is when teams are transported from point A to point B, there is a risk of infection. There's a bio bubble restriction. There are constraints. It takes a lot of time and an effort to ensure that there are no slip ups in the bio bubble to ensure the team safety and the support staff safety.
yeah,
Therefore, one, if has to restrict themselves to the venues, then that is what it is in order to keep everyone safe and secure health wise. Also, luckily, the numbers across the country are lower than what they were earlier.
yeah,
But one never knows what happens. It's rather rather be safe than sorry tomorrow.
absolutely. Have you been visiting Firoz Shah Kodla? Have you been there to your office and seen the staff?
Yes.
How are they doing?
I it's a very regular feature. I do visit the stadium quite often, and we've got things in progress to restore various projects. There are different things in the pipeline which are going on right now, and once they are completed, the stadium will be more equipped to host events than before.
Talking about hosting matches, there's also huge concern about junior cricketers, the under 16, under 19, under 23, whether their tournaments will happen. Few states are organizing trials, and then they're doing nothing about it because they are not getting sort of clear indication as to what will happen to those tournaments, the Vijay Merchant, the Coach Bihar trophies. So, I mean, you have any idea? I mean, whether it's going to happen the junior cricket? I mean, we
I,
know.
I, I wouldn't say anything on See, again, Indranil, these are decisions which the board has to take. I
Okay.
really am in no position to comment on those. Internally, we certainly will be organizing some internal tournaments to make sure there is
Okay.
some cricketing activity in all age groups happening,
Yeah.
whether it be the 16, whether it be the under 19, whether it be the under 23. We would do it not just on the men's side, but also on the women's side.
Wow. Yeah.
So, idea is to keep our cricketing activity going on to make sure our players are in good fitness, and it's always good to have some camps and some activity to that effect.
Absolutely. You're waiting so eagerly to go and cover these local matches. And this is where the talent is actually born. We have seen
Absolutely.
we've been covering cricket for so many years. Whenever we go to a ground in Delhi, we are bound to see a talent. And Rohan, it was really lovely chatting with you. It was quite a pleasure. You're just days away from your birthday. Wishing you a happy birthday in advance. And
Thank you. Thank you, Ranil.
and and take Delhi cricket forward. Best wishes. Thanks
Certainly.
a
And
lot.
next time we'll meet in person and you'll see some
Absolutely,
development at the stadium.
absolutely.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot. Thanks a lot. Bye.